Hello and welcome to episode 8 of the SWR Darts Coaching Podcast with me, Sean, a qualified and accredited darts coach. It's been a long time no speak. The last time I did a recording for a podcast was on the 25th of September last year after I came back from Bridlington. And it's been quite a while and there's been quite a few changes for me and obviously for SWR Darts Coaching. And I just want to touch on it. I just thought, no, let's get back into it. Let's get back into producing some content. We're going to try and do one a month, just to put it out there and just put my thoughts out there on the coaching side of darts and the experience that I have. So, as I say, I'm a qualified JDC Level 1 darts coach, which you may have picked up if you've listened to previous episodes. However, last year there was a course announced, which was with SightRight. Stephen Feeney, who is the director of SightRight, was setting up a course for darts for his machine or his techniques for SightRight. For those who might not be familiar, SightRight has been about for quite some time. It's very big in snooker. Stephen himself is very heavily involved in snooker. And in golf and probably various other sports, I would say, as well. But he ran a course for SightRight darts coaching to become an accredited darts coach with SightRight. And it was something at the time that I was a little bit on the fence about. I don't deny that. So I decided that, yes, let's go for it. We've gone full-time now as a darts coach in 2024. And we thought, yeah, it's another string for the bow, shall we say. So we went to a course. It was a 2-day course down at Winmau in Bridge-End. May I just say, a fantastic place. And after day one on the course, it was an interesting debate and talk with the other coaches that were there. So on the actual course, there was only 6 of us. There were 6 coaches, all JDC qualified coaches, all obviously looking to expand our knowledge of the coaching side of the game. I think out of them all, I think there was only sort of 3 of us that were, coaching adults as well as juniors. I think there's now 4. I might be wrong on saying I think I was probably the only full-time one. I think there might have been another one. But we all sort of had our own view on how SightRight was after day one. But listening to Stephen and listening to his experience of being a coach and working with darts players that he has done, it was fascinating. It was absolutely fascinating. And on day 2 of the course is when we really knuckled down and got the darts out, if you will. And on day 2, we did a lot of work regarding the eye dominance. Now, eye dominance is something that I've never really touched on in my coaching a lot. I do talk about it. I did know how to test for it. I still know how to test for it. But we never really got a lot of it out there in my coaching sessions that I did. But Stephen explained it in a fantastic way. And the SightRight system, which I have down here for the coaching, I've got one down here in the coaching hub. But I hadn't got the SightRight 3. I've now got a couple SightRight 3s, and I think they are, like I say, I think they are brilliant. But once he explained the principles behind it, my word, you just looked at it in a different way. Now, I always felt that I was very straight walking in and I got a good line of aim. I felt I was right eye dominant. I am right eye dominant. We prove that I am right eye dominant. And Stephen set a target at the start of the day, start of the course, should I say, that with SightRight and with, visual training of the visual cortex and everything, etc., that someone would be able to hit a little white dot placed in the treble 20 bed with their eyes closed. So anyway, we went through the course, and obviously, I won't go into the full details of the course. If you want to know about that, you can come to me for darts coaching. But at the end of during the second day, near the end of the second day, it was put out there. Who's interested? And I was like, well, I'm game. I'm interested. Let's go for it. And I lined up, made sure I was aligned with the SightRight at the dartboard. And for those that don't know the SightRight system, the SightRight technology, or the machine, if you will, it just sits, plumbed down in line from the bullseye with a little white line. Can be broken if you're looking at it wrong, and if you're in line, it's one straight line. And he says, on your pullback, on your backswing, just take your time on your backswing, close your eyes, and just let the dart go. But visualise where you're letting the dart go, etc. You know you're on line, you know the throw is coming from your optimum line with your dominant eye going straight. And I threw the dart and I hit the treble 20 and missed the white spot by just a bit. But I hit the treble 20. And then later on, I did the same thing again. I hit the dot. And since then, I've done it a couple of times down here. And it was just fascinating to realise that by using the power of the eyes and the power of the visual cortex and making sure that you're aligned correctly with your sight, that it changes your game massively. And it has changed my game, I feel. You know, I don't play a lot of league. I know I've touched on it in other podcasts from last year. I don't play a lot of league darts anymore. That's my own personal reasons. But working down here on the SightRight, it's been fantastic to see it in action with myself. But I've started using it with a lot of the clients that have come down to me as well for coaching over the last couple of weeks since I came back from the course. And straight away, the moment you get them aligned, they buy into what we're talking about. When you're bringing the dart to the dominant eye, adjusting your body so that the dominant eye is online with the SightRight. We've seen players hitting the dots on the board with their eyes open, not closed. I've seen players with straighter darts than when they walked in, and it's been fantastic. And some of the feedback that I've had from the players as well has been really, really good. And the players have really enjoyed using it as well. And that's credit to what SightRight, I think, offers. So, at the start of this podcast now, obviously, I'd now say I'm a qualified and accredited darts coach. So, I'm a JDC qualified, which I know we spoke about in other podcasts. But now I'm an accredited SightRight darts coach. And, one of only a few, obviously, in the country. I can't thank Stephen, Vini, and Karen as well, and the SightRight system enough for getting me now to where I am, another step on the coaching ladder. Building up the knowledge and the base and the experience and everything that I've got, and offering something else now in my coaching sessions to players to help them get the most from their darts game. So if you're looking for, to get SightRighted, if you will, or you're looking for help with the game, and you want to make sure that what your dominant eye is and you're throwing on your optimum line, etc. Contact us, swrdartscoaching.co.uk, and book in. At the moment, I'm doing the SightRight with the 90-minute sessions. That will change potentially in a month or two because I've got a few other little things in the pipeline. But honestly, it works. SightRight works. And what I would say is if you just think, I'll just go out and buy a SightRight, that's fine. But you need to understand what you're looking for with that SightRight. You need to understand why it's there. And then once it's there, once that's done, it's then about calibrating your game to it. And one thing that I've taken again from Stephen and the way we talk is now high performance coaching. And that's where I'll bring into my next bit in this little podcast, because I've just got a few bits written down here. So the next part I want to talk to is that what now I offer here at SWR Darts Coaching is, the beginner players, they still come down. We still work on the stance. We still work on making sure that you've got good biomechanics, working on practice games that can help you get more consistent with your game. We've then got, the next sort of step from that, which obviously now is looking at, making sure we're getting the sight right. Are you aligned? Working on your pre-throw routines and everything. But now I've stepped up now and we've got high performance coaching. So I'm now offering a little bit of high performance coaching down here. And we've got certain players who started coming to us who are, they're playing at the higher level of the game, if you will. We have a few females that now come down to us who are, I think it's in a couple of weeks' time from when I'm recording this. They're going on the PDC Women's Tour, so I'm looking forward to seeing how they get on. We've got a couple of gentlemen as well who are on the PDC, I want to say it's the Challenge Tour, and obviously quite a few guys that come to us who are on the ADC Tour, should I say, sorry. But we're working on high performance coaching now with them. And I sponsor a few of them, and obviously the high performance coaching comes as part of that sort of sponsorship deal that I'm doing with them. And I'm not going to touch on the high performance coaching in this podcast. I may do that as one episode where I get a player down, we do a little bit of a chat and talk about the high performance coaching. But high performance coaching relates back off the SightRight. It's all about just making sure that, are you aligned up correctly? Are you approaching the hockey in the most optimum way? Are you throwing short on 10s, long on 16s, or if you're a lefty, is it vice versa? Looking at how you're throwing with the eyes. What are you doing with your eyes? The eyes are the most powerful tool. So yeah, I'm sort of incorporating that now into my high performance coaching, and it's working well. And I've got a couple of players who have booked in for high performance coaching sessions in April. So they'll come down, they do a couple of sessions over a week. Then they go away and they'll do their own thing, and then they'll come back again and do a couple of sessions. And it's really good. And I think now more players are starting to look at darts, not just because of the Luke Littler effect. So bearing in mind, last time I did a podcast, Luke Littler we all knew who he was, but he hadn't exploded into the darts world like he has done now. And I've had, I'm just going to talk a little bit on my coaching experience. And since my last recording, we've seen a lot more juniors come through the door, which is fantastic to see kids wanting to come down. But I had one kid come in. He was a young lad, probably about 9 or 10, I think he was. And why do you got into darts? Why do you enjoy playing darts? He says, I want to be like Luke Littler. I was like, oh, that's brilliant, great news. That's what we want to hear. Back in the day, the kids wanted to be Ronaldo, didn't they? They wanted to be Messi. No one ever wanted to be Elliot Nevitt from Crew, but they always want to be Ronaldo and Messi. But now young players, they want to be Luke Littler, and that's fantastic to see. But when they're throwing and they're not getting there, and the parents are watching as well, and the parents are like, why is he not hitting this consistent? Why is he not hitting that? And it's like, they're young. Let them enjoy the game as well. It's not going to come overnight. It's going to take them a while. It took Luke Littler, a period of time to get to the stage he was at. And I think the expectation levels sometimes are a little bit higher with kids. Whereas, they come in here, we do a lot of fun games with them. We throw from the same distance and same height as we do for adults. So I don't shorten it personally, and I think I've touched on that in another episode. But they throw from 7'9", 7'9" and a quarter, 3/4, and obviously the 5'8" on the height. 7'9" and a quarter, sorry, not 3/4. Don't worry about that one. And some parents are a little bit, well, that's a bit too far. But it isn't. If we can get them into that mould now, with understanding the way we want them to throw a dart, the mechanics we're looking for them to build in now, are they aligned and everything? The moment they keep growing, they're going to have the right mechanics in place. So the mechanics are already there in place. So we're just going to be building on them mechanics. And when they get bigger and bigger, we just sort of, adjust them, with maybe the touch of the arms or the shoulders if they're getting a bit broader, etc. And that's all we need to do. And we help them progress through, and we give them the practice games now and the practice routines now to just install moving forward. So yeah, I think, the Luke Littler effect has been brilliant. It's certainly made darts a lot more accessible, despite the fact there's a lot of places that haven't got stock of boards or darts at the moment. But for me as a coach, I went full time this year. I made the decision before the Luke Littler hype that I was going to go full time this year, and it's been fantastic. And obviously for me as a business, long may it continue. But long may people want that coaching. You look at snooker. There are snooker coaches with every top player. So every top player's got a snooker coach, really. And that brings me to my next part, which is the mindset of this podcast. So I'm going to do probably now next month or the month after, I'm just going to do one solid podcast on the mindset, because at the moment I'm in the middle of a sort of sports psychology course, just to get more understanding of this mindset with darts. We've talked about it many times in podcasts, and I speak to many other coaches of other sports, and the mindset is massive. And making sure that when we're going up there, we're controlling the mind, we're controlling what we're looking to do and where we want to go, and not allowing, the gremlins in the brain to sort of take control of the main computer. But again, that's a podcast for another episode. But we're working on that now. So I'm putting everything together down here. We're working on the biomechanics. We're working on the stance. We're working on the SightRight to make sure your sight aligned. We're working on the mind and the mindset and getting the pre-throw right. All them things come together, and it doesn't matter if you're an amateur player, a junior player, a very, very young player, an older statesman of player, if you will, a player who's in the PDC, a player who's in the WDF, or a player who's on the ADC. All them things can help your game. There's always something you can get from coaching that can help you with your game. So if you've heard anything in this podcast and you thought to yourself, yeah, I like the sounds of that, visit the website, swrdartscoaching.co.uk. Find me on social media. I'm not that active on social media. I do a bit of a TikTok live every now and then. I do post on Facebook every week, a practice routine. I post on Twitter, bits and bobs. But I'm not overly active across social media. Social media is one of them places whereby, the people that are out there that go, oh no, you can't coach darts, that's where they live. But if they came to me for darts coaching, it would change their mind, I'm certain of that. It would change their approach to the game. But yeah, if you hear anything in this podcast or any of the previous podcasts that you can find here on Spotify, and you think, yeah, there's some interesting bits and bobs there, get in touch with me. Drop me an email, drop me a message via the website or on the social media channels, as I say. Let's have a chat. Book yourself in for a one-to-one coaching session with me, 90-minute coaching session. Book in. Come and get this SightRight. Come and have a look at the SightRight. We'll get it involved in the coaching session. We tend to maybe use the SightRight a little bit more now than we would with the practice games, just to make sure that you as the player are getting the right alignment with your throw. And yeah, it works, folks. That's the best way I can say it. It works. So yeah, that's me in a nutshell. Like I say, I do apologise I've been absent for so long. Some of you, I've only got a few followers here on Spotify anyway. But I just haven't really done a podcast, and I just decided, it's time to start doing them again. So I'm going to do them once a month. It'll be the middle of the month. Obviously, follow me on social media and you'll find out when these episodes come out. So next one will be episode 9. And I think in episode 9, I'll probably will touch on the mindset a little bit. So if it's not episode 9, it'll be 10. So one of them will be about the mindset, and the other one will be about how to structure your darts practice, how to get the best out of your darts practice in a structure. Thank you very much for listening. Like I say, any comments, please let me know. Any feedback, please let me know. And I hope that your darts are going well. And if you just want to know if you're doing things right or if you're doing things wrong, get in touch with us, book in with us, come down. Let's have a look at you, one-to-one down here in Stoke-on-Trent. This unit that I'm in is completely designed for darts and darts coaching. It's ideal for it. So thank you very much for listening. Take care of yourself, and hopefully I'll see you on the hockey.